Please ignore my tissue looking lamp shade. It looks like a tissue, and I'm sorry about that, but it's flu season. Hello everyone, my name is Laura or King Dickens. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm showing you some of the books that I want to read in 2021. I read a lot of books in 2020. I set out to read 100 books and I think I'm on maybe 95 or 94 maybe, and I'm not planning on hitting the 100. I don't really care about the Goodreads challenge anymore. I looked back on my reading challenge in maybe June or July of this year and realized that I didn't care for or didn't even remember reading half of the books or most of the books that I'd read this year. I was just reading books to up that number on Goodreads and not reading anything that I was actually interested in. Although that is the case, I did start reading some amazing authors this year and some genres that are so new to me. Some of my favorite authors of the year that were completely new to me: Stephen King, Grady Hendrix, Zora Neale Hurston, Charles Dickens. I did have some amazing reading moments in 2020, but overall it was all about putting pressure on myself to get to that 100 book goal. I'm not doing that in 2021. I'm going to try as much as I can to be a mood reader, just read what I'm actually interested in at that moment in time, rather than reading something that everyone else is reading just because everyone else is reading it. I've been guilty of doing that in the past, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I swear to you, I'm done. Those days are gone, done, dusted, in the bin. Also, I'm going to start buying from used bookstores a lot more, buying from independent bookstores online. My favorite bookshop where I live is full of used and new copies of books. They have everything. It is a huge store, and I have always bought books in there, but I've kind of always just gone in without a list and just picked up whatever I saw. Whereas now in 2021 and in the future, I'm going to make it my mission. If there's a book that I want to find, I'm going to try and find it in that store or in Debray's, which is a chain bookstore here in Ireland that I actually really do like supporting. What the fuck? I hate my life. I want to stop buying from the Book Depository, which I only realized this year was owned by Amazon. I have given so much money to Amazon this year. It makes me sick. And even when I did know that Amazon owned the Book Depository, I kept buying books from them anyway because they are so affordable. But in 2021, I'm making rules for myself when it comes to book shopping and just shopping in general, because I want to start buying from small businesses and independent businesses and supporting them a lot more than I am supporting the big companies. And if I can't afford to buy all of these expensive books from more independent stores, I should just buy less books. I bought so many books this year. I don't need to buy half as many next year. So I can make it a rule to hunt for the book I'm looking for from an independent store, online or in person. So to sum up where I want to go with my reading in 2021, I want to read less, put less pressure on myself, not focus on the Goodreads challenge because it is just a little number on an app owned by Amazon. I want to buy from independent stores or smaller stores. I kind of just want to start copping on a little bit and making a bit more effort to be more conscious. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's my little story, and I'm going to show you the books that I want to read next year. I won't get to all of these, and that's completely fine. I'm fine with that. But these are the kind of books that I've been into recently, and so I want to continue my journey into these genres. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to start with classics and fiction first. So the first book on my list is Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy, Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, The Old Curiosity Shop by Charles Dickens, Charlotte Bronte, A Life by Claire Harmon, which is a non-fiction book, but it is about Charlotte Bronte, a classic author. I Know This Much Is True by Wally Lamb. If you have not seen I think it's a HBO adaptation with Mark Ruffalo, you need to watch it. That's the whole reason I want to read this. It's so good. I also am obsessed with Mark Ruffalo. White Teeth by Zadie Smith, Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I'm not sure if this is fantasy. It's about gods. I think it's about the gods. Then I have some historical fiction. I have Elizabeth's Rival by Nicola Tallis. I love this woman. The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. And Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters. Next, I'm going to show you fantasy. that didn't work. So my first one is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. My voice broke there. Robin Hobb. Luck in the Shadows by Lynn Flewelling. This is the first book in the Night Runner series, and this is the first book in the Farseer trilogy. Sorry, I didn't know that. The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. The first book is my favorite book of all time, tied with The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. This is the second book in the King Killer Chronicles trilogy. Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield. Legendborn by Tracy Dion. A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. So I think that's everything that I have for fantasy. Let's get into my last genre, which is horror. The first book being The Stand by Stephen King. This, you could kill someone with this, and I appreciate that deeply. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Cujo by Stephen King. The Devil All the Time by Richard Hay Pollock. I have watched the Netflix adaptation 5 times so far. And my last book, but not my least, definitely the heaviest, is 11/22/63 by Stephen King. I picked this up the other day for €10 in a used bookstore, and it's practically new. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. That is everything. My knees are sore. I want to read maybe about 40 to 45, 50 books in 2021. If that doesn't happen, if I go over it or under it, that's fine. I'm not going to put pressure on myself, because it was not fun this year. I read about 40 books last year in 2019, and I remember beating myself up so much for it. I was so annoyed that that was all I'd read. Then I looked back on my reading challenge and looked back on everything that I'd read, and I was like, I loved most, sorry, I have hair everywhere. I loved most of what I read. I read amazing books. I read Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. If you haven't read that, mind-blowing. A Crown of Blood by Nicola Tallis, the woman who wrote Elizabeth's Rival. I read amazing books in 2019, and I read less. I took my time. I only read when I wanted to read. I did a complete mood read. There were probably a couple of books in there that I added for filler to up my number, but the majority of what I read last year was just for fun. This year I really put a pressure on myself. I'm not going to do it no more. Please let me know in the comments what books you want to read the most in 2021. Any of these on your list, please let me know. We can talk about it, or we can arrange like a little read along thing. If you would like to subscribe, but you don't have to, it's all G. We see each other. We also see Saoirse Ronan. Yes, we do. We stand. Oh, we stand. That's it. That's the video. I'm gonna go edit it now. Here's a whale with no tail. Okay. Bye. Children of the Corn.